Welcome to the Voices of the Goddess podcast. We believe that there is a goddess inside each and every one of us. When we use our voice to share that goddess, we support and uplift each other. Join us each week as we interview women to receive the message of their goddess within.
Hey there, everyone. I am Allyson Mancini, your wellness warrior.
And I'm Julietta, the magical PT. And we are so glad that you are joining us today. And we're glad those of you that are joining us in the future. But you're here to get more insights and tools for tapping into the goddess within you and to support you in achieving all of your goals. Today, we are joined by Christina Donohue. So happy to have you here. Please tell our audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Well, I just want to say thank you to you ladies. It's such an honor and a blessing to be with you today. I am a kind of hard on like a plethora of a few things. But to make it short and sweet, I am a health, life, and wellness coach. I like to educate, empower, and inspire other women that have been through things in their lives, improving their health, their wellness awareness, their lifestyle, things like that.
Yes, we love that.
Who doesn't?
Well, maybe some people, but we do.
So thank you for being here. And it's time to dive right into our 4 magical questions.
Ooh.
So the first one, Christina, is what is your superpower?
So my superpower is inner strength. Through my life, and women go through an amazing amount of challenges and hard work. And there was a point in my life about 6 years ago where I lost that strength and fought really, really hard to get it back. And it's something that I'm super passionate about because when you have that inner strength, there's infinite possibilities in your life. And there is nothing that you can't overcome and get through as long as you hold true to that inner strength. I even got a tattoo that stands for inner strength with a heart around it, because you always want to keep that love in your heart when you're being strong. You don't want to lose sight of that. That was something I lost sight of and took me to a place that I just didn't want to be. So I believe that that's my inner strength, and I love to give it to others. I even say, if you don't have it, you can borrow mine until you get there, because I believe in you, and I believe every woman can tap into that inner strength within inside of them.
That's beautiful.
That is awesome. And I think, Julietta and I have known you for 5 years now. I'm gonna say. Yeah, about 5 years. And, we the three of us know each other pretty well, and we know we've all been through a lot. And I would say, Christina, you definitely, the minute you said that, I was like, yes, that is your superpower for sure. Definitely. So, yeah. And that's a hard thing that's a hard thing for some people to come by. It's a lot, our brains talk negatively to us so much of the time. So you have to be really present, as we've been talking about, and conscious and aware of what your own head is saying to you to keep that inner strength, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yay. All right. The next question is, what is a book that has greatly influenced your life?
So I have many books that I love, because there's just, as us women read a lot of books and take things, and that's what helps you keep your inner strength. You have to have the resources and the tools. But when I really thought about it, the one that influenced my life the most was the Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. A lot of times we think, huh?
I need that book.
We both need that book.
Here it is.
The Gifts of Imperfection.
A lot of times we strive to be perfect. I know my own self as a perfectionist. I was always like, okay, am I going to have to change for people to like me? I've got to do things right. Do I pretend if everything is okay? And I did all of these things, and I was like, why do I love myself? And you really need to, it's look inside of yourself and find who you are and just come out. I mean, you are worth it. And there's actually a quote in the book. It says, the thing that's really hard and really amazing is giving up on being perfect and beginning the work of becoming yourself. Be yourself. Be your true self. When I used to be out there, I was not confident at all. And people were like, no, you're super confident. I'm like, yeah, you think? I present a lot. And I didn't want to live my life that way. So this book really got me to look inside of who I am and help me to know that I am enough and I'm worthy, and be confident and compassionate and have the courage to just go through anything in life. So it's a really great book.
We'll be checking that out for sure.
Yeah, that book, big time.
Especially, it's a topic that's come up more than once on our podcast here, that too often, like, we set these standards of being perfect, and perfect doesn't exist anywhere ever. And so being okay with imperfection, we have to be, because it's the only thing that is imperfect. And Allyson brought up, taking imperfect action. Like, we had to do that with the podcast. Just start and get it going. Otherwise, if it needed to be perfect, this conversation wouldn't be happening right now.
Listen, you see it all over, and people have said it. You are perfectly imperfect, and it's those imperfections that make you unique in who you are. Don't try to be like anybody else. You are a unique individual, and if somebody's going to love you, they're going to love you for who you are and what you represent. When I was a little girl, I had on my wall a poster of Garfield and Odie looked up to Garfield, and it said, be okay with who you are. And really, that's all you need to do. As long as you're okay within yourself, you can freely give the love, compassion, support, whatever it is, to everybody else. You're always trying to be something that you're truly not. You can't give to others even.
That brings up a thought that I have, that someone was telling me the other day. No, this was a long time ago, actually. It was a coach that I've worked with, and she was saying how it took her a long time to be okay with the fact that not everybody was going to like her, which I think kind of ties into this whole being perfect thing. And one of the things, I think she said, who says this? It'll come to me later in our conversation. But the idea that it's really not your business what other people think of you. It's not. Yeah, you have to. Rachel Hollis says that. That's who says it. I'm like, I know I would think of it. She says that all the time. And it's so true. And I have to remind myself of that sometimes when I have interactions with people, because I'm very much like that. And Julietta and I've talked about that very, in the past, have been very worried about doing it just right and being perfect and having everything just so. When I'm having conversations with people, sometimes I walk away from a conversation and I'm like, oh, I don't think they really, we didn't really click there. And then I have to say to myself, you know what? That's okay. I don't have to be on the same page with everybody, and everybody doesn't have to like me. I have my people that are okay with my good and bad and my, my little bad habits, and especially my husband after 27 plus years. So
I always think to know me is to love me, and people are going to accept you, and not everybody is a fit for everybody, and everybody needs to be okay with that. One thing that I actually, because I'm so passionate about helping people and being a coach, and I'm sure you ladies can relate, you want everybody to get there and you want them to want it so bad. And it took me a long time to not take that personally either, because I can only help you and guide you. You have to do the work. And that's really where it comes from. So knowing that you're doing that good and you're putting it out there and you're educating and inspiring and empowering other people, they're going to take what they want to take and they're going to let go what they want to let go. And I just do it because I know if something I said or did will impact their life in some way, shape, or form. I may never know about it, and that's okay. But I'm doing that because that is what I love to do. So not everything is a fit.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Yeah. So I think, Julietta, are you ready for our next question?
Yes, I am. Our next question is, what is your favorite self-care practice?
Oh, I have so many, and the reason why I do is because each one of these feeds a different part of my soul and what I need for the day. So some of mine are running, when I need to go through that mentalness and kind of go with inside of myself and process and banter back and forth with myself. I run. I love to go down to the beach and just have some quiet time. Maybe it's a sushi dinner. So it's really what feeds what I need for that day. And I have been so amazingly blessed. And if I could just give it to every woman in the world, I would, because it was so uplifting and a weight off my shoulders. When I learned to really take care of myself and put myself first, I'm blessed that I can take in my day when I wake up, what do I need to be the best version of myself today? What does that look like and what does that feel like? So whether it's a run, the beach, reading a book, listening to my music and dancing in front of the mirror where I look silly, I just pick what my soul needs that day in order for me to be that best version of myself.
I love that, because I'm kind of the same way. Like, we ask that question every interview. And actually one of the women today, she's like, I need to give you more than one. Like, and you're the second one to say that. And it's true. I have different self-care practices depending on what I have going on that day, my time, what I feel like I need. Depends on what I do. But I love how you said it. And Julietta, we just talked about this in another interview, and I say it all the time. And I know you've probably heard me say this, Christina, or you and I've talked about this before, is that you have to put on your mask first, just like they tell you on an airplane. You must put yours on first before you help somebody else. And I cannot stress that enough, because I've had the personal experience of not doing that. I did not take care of myself 12 plus years ago, and I paid really dearly for it. I know. And there's a lot of us out there that have. And, we as women are such nurturers, and we want to help, and we want to serve, and we want to do all these things. But the reality is, if you are not filling your cup, you cannot do all those things. You may be able to get away with it for a while, like I did, and you did, and, but it will catch up to you. And I remember that when I got so sick, my kids were younger. I think they were like late elementary and middle school. And I remember them saying to me, Mom, why did you get so sick? What happened? And I said, because I wasn't taking care of myself. It took me time to get to this point. It wasn't something that happened overnight, so I think if that's one thing, I think you and your business, Christina, and myself, and I know Julietta, I'm sure runs into this a lot. You have to take care of you. You have to. You're not going to be able to do what you want to do if you don't. So super stressful.
And the other thing that I learned is that there's so many things that are metaphysical. And if you're not taking care of yourself and you're holding on to things, or you're not doing self-care, or whatever it is, it comes out in your body, as you ladies know. And a lot of people are like, no, metaphysical doesn't matter. Well, it really does. And when you can learn and identify it, it's like soul releasing or body releasing, or I don't know, it's crazy, but it's good. And then your overall wellness is just so much better, and you can serve from just a higher purpose for whatever it is you're doing, or whatever you want to serve. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. Yeah, I like that. The question is, what is your favorite? But we do need options, and to be flexible with ourselves, even though, our most common answer is the meditation, and meditation is great and wonderful, but, some days I just don't feel like meditating, and knowing that it's okay to choose not to, or even right now I'm drinking celery juice every morning, and, I'm getting a little tired of it. And yesterday I skipped my celery juice, and you know what? It's okay. The world didn't stop spinning. And yeah, so, I made different choices yesterday that fed my soul, and that's okay.
It is. And you got to be okay with that.
Completely. Our next question is about accountability. How do you create accountability in your world, Christina?
Well, in what I do with being a health and wellness coach is I know that I have to live my life by example and live out loud, because all eyes are on me and they're looking to me. So I have to be accountable for my actions if I'm asking somebody else to be accountable for theirs, which actually lifts you to a higher place when you can hold that accountability. Also for my kids, I want my kids to see what it is that they're supposed to do and live life like and lead by. And so I hold myself very accountable for every action I do. You know, that, what's that saying? Walk the walk, talk the talk, you know, those types of sayings. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, they say I walk the walk and I talk the talk, and they don't. You know, in my martial arts career, I always would step out on that floor and I told the kids, everything I told the kids, I lived my life by. I didn't tell the kids not to drink because I have a drink once in a while. Drink responsibly. You know, drink when you're old enough to drink. And I just picked a random one. You know, I used to tell them, you can't buy it off the internet for $39.95. Nothing in life comes without good old-fashioned hard work. And I always made sure I'm the example of that.
Yeah, I do love that. And that is true. Because I think about that with my business also, being that we're both in wellness. And Julietta, you are too. I mean, your clients, and Julietta, I'm sure your patients, they look to us. Are we, you know, and one of the things I always tell my clients is, I'm not perfect yet. I'm still a work in progress. I probably always will be until I take my last breath. But I continue to try to live by example. If, like you just said, if we're going to ask that of our friends and clients and patients and whoever they are, we need to live by that example. Like, I think back to, like, I don't know, would have been probably in the 1950s or 60s. Think about like physicians that smoked, right? Like, how much like I look at that and go, how did that even, like, how is that even okay? Like, I'm not even sure. But yeah,
they didn't know. They didn't know.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, you're right. Generally, yes.
No, there was a time when nobody knew that smoking was bad for you. There was also a time, well, this will be interesting. I'll talk about this. You know, like in Native American practices and shamanism, like, some believe that tobacco was placed on this earth, a gift from God, source, whatever you want to call the higher power. It was given to us on this planet so that we could smoke it to send signals to God that, you know, that's where the smoke signal came from, sending the message to God, hey, we need you. You know, so it's actually like an act of prayer and connection with God. And here we have, as humans, have like completely tainted this thing, and companies have put massive chemicals in them that harm people. But, you know, it also goes to, you know, what you believe. So if you believe smoking is bad for you, it's bad for you. And like, I'm laughing at myself saying this as someone who's never smoked anything ever in her life. But, you know, but it's all about how you approach it. And, you know, like, if you want to make smoking a sacred habit, like, it can be. And, you know, preferably go get like organic, natural tobacco and roll your own cigarettes so that you're not dealing with those toxic chemicals that the big companies put in there. But everything can be sacred, just depending on how you look at it. So, you know, we're so quickly to judge things as right or wrong, bad or good. And I think, you know, almost everything can be both, just depending on your perspective of it.
Absolutely.
That was kind of like a way off tangent out there.
No, it's all good.
And I like I had a total coughing jag. Good thing we can mute ourselves.
Yeah, but also like funny that you're doing that when we're talking about smoking and how bad it is.
I know, I was thinking it because I'm listening to you guys and I'm like, and here I'm having a coughing fit. But You know what, going off on a tangent, what's really interesting is I used to be a smoker. I grew up in the Midwest. In the 80s, a lot of us smoked. I still have friends that smoke, sadly. But as I was going on that path to quitting, that you bring up organic, Native American, that tobacco, I actually switched to that as a way to get off. Yeah, really interesting. So especially here in South Florida, there's actually quite a few brands. Not that I'm encouraging smoking at all, but you know what I'm saying? It just is interesting that you bring that up, because I guess if you're going to use it as part of your, ritual of prayer as they did back in the day, then yeah, do organic, I guess, and don't habit of it. Coming from a ex-smoker.
I was one too, so I feel you.
Yeah. That's
okay. Awesome. Are we ready for takeaways?
Yeah, that was like a super tangent. I loved it. This is why I love this. And to those of you listening or watching this, we are real women, good and bad, perfect and imperfect, conversation. Don't take offense. Just, being real.
And I think that's what the world wants more of today. It's like our cell phones. Everything's turned into less human connection. And when you are perfectly imperfect and can live your life out loud and show that, people resonate with that. And I think that's what a lot more women want. They don't want to, my opinion, click on that sponsored ad and get something that's cookie cutter. They want real women, real lives, real life instances, and to be educated and know what other people go through, because you're not alone. People go through the same things. You might not know what someone goes through right at that instance, but they're going through something or have gone through something. And they're just looking for either a connection, a resonation, or even a place that they can become healthier, whether it's in their mindset or their external or internal health. And I am just so blessed with you ladies to be helping to empower the world even more today. It's amazing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it is really important for anyone watching or listening. And if you're out there, to know that, just because, and I think about this all the time. Perfect example. If you're driving down the highway, especially in South Florida, and you have someone come racing up on you, they're tailing you, you can tell they're aggravated and they want to get around you. You know what I always say to myself? I don't know what's going on in their life right now. Maybe someone's in the hospital. Maybe a loved one just got in an accident. Maybe someone's dying that they're trying to get to. Absolutely. And I get out of the way. Like, I feel like we have to remember, and even when we're talking to each other, we don't know what you just had happen to you that day. A lot of times what we see on social media and what we put out there are not always what's really going on. So, and I think it's so important for our kids and younger generations to understand that too, that that's just what people want you to see most of the time, not always real. So I love that we, in this podcast and in this YouTube, try to really be real. So
absolutely. The good and bad is how you learn.
Okay, I'll stop going on and on, because I could go on.
We love when you go on, Allyson.
I love it.
Oh. Do you have a takeaway?
Do I have a takeaway? I do have a takeaway. This is my takeaway, and I love this, because I think so many times when we ask that question about self-care, that people just pick one thing. And I'm glad that our last couple of women that we've interviewed have not done that. And I love how you put it, Christina, that really it's based on what you need that day, what your soul needs, what you feel is speaking to you that day. And I love, Julietta, when you said there's just some days I don't feel like meditating, because that happens to me too. Or not even, maybe I just wake up late and I just have a lot on my plate that day. And I probably should take the time, just even a couple minutes to meditate, but I just don't. And that it's okay. Like, I think that's one thing for the three of us, as we're all in health and wellness, we give the people we work with the tools that they need. Use it how it works best for you. And I love that you brought that up, Christina, is, just because we do it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And that's also why we're doing this podcast, because we want to give all of the women out there as many different tools as you can and find what works for you. So I appreciate you saying that about the self-care. I do different things all the time.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Awesome. My takeaway was her talking about inner strength. as her superpower. And, because it's something that, probably all of us at one time or another, like have felt completely depleted and not connected to our inner strength. But it is in every single one of us. And it's something that comes up over and over again with my clients when I'm working with them and getting them, to take their power back and just own it and be it. And it's definitely inside of all of us. And it is easy to lose the connection with it. And just for everybody to remember it's in there. And if you need help connecting to yours, reach out to someone. And because,
don't be afraid. Yeah. That's one thing I learned is it was really hard for me to, and just real quick, going back to the accountability, like you said, when you asked me about accountability, is I never used to have a coach. I was always someone else's coach, or I didn't have a higher power. So I actually tap into my higher power and I reach out, and I want all women to know, as I'm sure you ladies do, that when people tell you to reach out, take them up on it. Go through the tools and resources. Don't recreate it. Listen to that life story they may tell you to help you get through what you're going through. Give you the resources and the tools. Take them up on it. Don't be afraid. They're not going to offer it if they don't want you to do it. Take them up on it. It's a huge, I know that it's a scary thing to do. It was a huge step for me. But I said one of my favorite quotes is face everything and run. Fear means two things: face everything and run, or face everything and rise. And I finally said, I'm just going to go for it. And I did. And if you go for it and it doesn't work out the way you wanted to, then you don't reach out again. But you never would have known until you tried. So take that person up on it.
Yeah, and I even say that. Ask. Just ask. Ask for the help. Ask. The worst they're going to say? No.
No.
Yeah, let's do that right now.
No, unless you asked.
I agree. All right.
Did you have something else was that your takeaway, or is there?
Oh, no, that wasn't my takeaway. I was just talking about your takeaway.
So what is your takeaway?
So my takeaway was when you said to be flexible with yourself. I call it rigid flexibility sometimes, but you do need to be flexible, not only with yourself, but with your life. Have that flexibility. Don't be so rigid in what it is that you're doing. Be flexible. Your soul and your heart will appreciate it, because you don't want to become resentful. You don't want to become angry. And then your body gets all, and then you can't give. So just grace yourself with the flexibility to make the change if you have to, or make the adjustment, whatever that is for you.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
This was awesome.
This is amazing. I love seeing you ladies.
We love seeing you too, Christina. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you to everyone out there listening to us now in the present or going forward in the future. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, our podcast. We'd love any feedback that you have to give us. And if you've enjoyed this, please share it with your friends. And all of the stuff that we've talked about in the show, you can find the tools to access that in the show notes, and also contact information if you need to get in contact with any of us. And this has been fantastic. Have a magical day, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.